Hey, guess what time it is? This is Dr. Ray with Olive Branch Wellness Center. Right now, we are live, as you haven't guessed, and that this is not your mother's menopause group. It is so fabulous that you guys are here with me tonight. We are going to learn so much stuff. I really am excited to be here and pour information into you. Forgive me for looking down a few times, but we have so much to give you that I don't know if I can get it all in. And I want to get it all in because it is so important to me that you have the information you need. And you think, well, what's the big deal? Well, wait till you hear what we have to say and you'll know exactly what the big deal is here. So, a few housekeeping things. If you want to invite a friend, do it. You know, we all have girlfriends and we're all kind of going through some of the same stuff together. Why not share the information? And then afterwards, you can have your own little video fun time and have a quarantini, right? A martini while we're quarantined. And go ahead and discuss a lot of these things. I think that's what makes us women unique is the ability for us to be able to discuss things. This is going to be completely free. I promise you, we're going to do 4 nights of completely amazing information. And because of that, completely free information, you are going to feel like you are well armed. You are well armed for menopause. That's the whole idea here is to be well armed for menopause and well armed while you're going through it and well armed after you've gone through it. You can say, I did the best I could for who I am. And this is going to be really pretty rocking. And you'll be in a better position to really understand your body. Now, there is a worksheet for tonight's video. I hate giving homework, but this allows you to have some information at your fingertips. And that's what we're about, keeping this information. So you know there's over 25 questions to be answered. And as we go along, you don't be crazy about having to answer those things. You can, we want you to have it so you can refer back to it later. All the videos we do this week are going to be up. Hi, Wendy. Are going to be up until Tuesday next week. Tuesday midnight, they all come down. Remember, with all this free information, jam-packed information, I want you to be able to just have some good handles for menopause, no matter who you are or what stage you're at in menopause. So if you're feeling like it, give us some love with some emojis down at the bottom. I know some of you are kind of shy and you're like, I'm not into that. Please just let me do my thing. That's fine. Feel free to send us any questions you may have. We're looking at doing a bonus session on Friday where we can answer a lot of questions and go through everything for you. Would love to do that because, what's the deal with having information if you can't have a question? If you're not comfortable questioning things in the group, you can always private message me. I am not adverse to those. And remember, no question is really too dumb to ask. So what are we doing here? We're setting you up for the next 30 years. We want you to have good health. What you don't know that I do, that I'm going to tell you, is that your systems get stressed a little bit going through menopause. And if we don't take care of those systems with some of the information I'm giving you, you're going to have a little bit more difficult time and you're going to have some things that are actually going to give out on you or create more problems. So we don't want that to happen. So I'm kind of happy that this is, I planned it out months and months in advance. So that this is happening during our social distancing or quarantine, whatever you want to call it, because this gives you time to actually just work on you. There's nowhere you have to go. There's nothing you really have to do. So go ahead and start some of these things. This is the whole reason I'm doing this. This is what we want you to do with this information. So go ahead and start implementing. And there are quite a few things that tonight, after we get done with this video, hey, Nicole, that we can go ahead and have you implement. Isn't that exciting? And there are things you have at home. It's not like you have to go buy something or be something or anything else. So I want you to know, after interviewing close to 50 women, I was shocked. Actually, so shocked. You are actually teaching me. Do you know that most women aren't aware there are 60 symptoms of menopause? I mean, wow, 60. When I asked women initially what they knew about menopause, they're like, you get to stop having periods and you have hot flashes and you dry up. Did you know that there is a big misconception about menopause, and I'm not picking on men and I'm not picking on anybody else in specific. What I want you to know is the big misconception is, well, you just have to get through it. No, you don't have to drag through it. What I want you to do is I want you to understand you have tools to get through it like a rock star. And that's the whole reason that we're doing this. I want you to be a rock star. Yeah, Wendy, you can be a rock star. Okay, so I was also surprised that most women have been told by their moms, you've been told about getting your period. You have been talked to possibly about dating. You have been talked to about being pregnant. And then there's that thing where, you know, your mom and dad, or maybe your mother-in-law kind of intervened and tried to tell you how to raise children if you had them. I bet out of all the people that I talked to, I went and looked back at the numbers, and you know what? There were only 2 women whose mother actually sat them down and told them about menopause. Shocking, isn't it? I think it's because it's been such a taboo subject all along. You know, oh, oh, she's going through the change. No, we are so much better off now than we ever were, than we were 10 years ago, or 15 or 20 or 25 or 30. Those are the things I really, really want you to understand. Um, Talk to your daughters if you have them. Talk to your daughters-in-law. Talk to your nieces. Don't talk to your nephews. No, talk to your nieces. It is through becoming a little bit of a tribe that we all begin to be able to spread information. So I want you to take the information I give to you tonight and be the spreader of good words. So what are going to do is go through some things that are going to help you sleep tonight. Now, one of the interesting things that I had a good laugh about, and the woman who told me, she told me 2 things that we should laugh about. The first one is, she said, I went in to go see the male gynecologist, and he said, well, you're just going to have to get through it. She said, which preceded me going right into a temper tantrum. She thought, if I could just slap his skin right off of his face at this point in time, I definitely would. And I thought, that's kind of a symptom of menopause, but let's make sure we're getting your information from a good spot. I want to be that spot for you. Like I said, no question is too dumb to ask or too dumb to private message me about. So let's get started. Tonight we're going to talk about sleep. Tomorrow we're going to talk about hot flashes, and then we have weight gain and food and a little bit of a question and answer thing. So before we go rip roaring into this, if you've downloaded the homework page, or if you don't care to, or if you're going to do it when you watch this a second or a third time, that's fine too. But I want to tell you what the 60 symptoms of menopause are. And I want you to make a checklist for yourself, a mental checklist that's going to tell you how many symptoms you have and how many things you didn't know were actually symptoms of menopause. Really super interesting. Are you ready? I'm going to be looking down at my paper. No disrespect to you, but I can't memorize 60 symptoms in a row. So here we go. Heart disease, hair loss, and my favorite one, mild to moderate or severe symptoms, all in the same day and possibly within 10 minutes of each other. Body odor changes. We're going to talk about that a little later. Difficulty swallowing, adrenal burnout. You know your adrenals are super important in menopause. Yeah, it's just a matter of figuring out what time of day they're kind of petered out. Loss of libido, hot flashes, anxiety, muscle tension, sleep disorders, glucose issues. We're going to touch on that later this week. Appetite changes. I don't care to eat anything but a lettuce leaf and 1 pea, and then you want to eat everything but mayonnaise on the dog. Okay. Weight gain, bloating, osteoporosis, irritability. Here's a new one for you. Itchy, crawly skin. How do you like that? Electric shocks, high cholesterol, memory lapses. You know, that memory lapses has a really strong tie to your adrenal glands too. So this is why it's important to keep them in a healthy situation. Incontinence. So incontinence is that laugh, cough, sneeze, dribble, bladder, right? That has to do with hormonal changes. And it can be a bladder infection too, but we'll look at that. Allergies to foods. Have you noticed you could eat things before, but you can't eat them now? What the heck is going on? And you think, I have always eaten this. I have always loved this. Now, why is this making me a problem? Shift in hormones that help you with that. Varicose veins, thyroid issues, very, very predominant at this point in time. Very predominant. Sagging skin, vaginal dryness, mood swings. You can go from indifferent to crying. Who hasn't been there? Cold hands and feet. Everything else on you is completely warm, and then you get that stupid cold hands and feet, and you don't know whether to put gloves on or take clothes off so that your hands and feet can, it's just one of those things. Breast tenderness, cold flashes. Now, let me tell you, I got the ability to have cold flashes, and it wasn't fun because I kept turning the heat up at the office and everybody's dying. Increased body fat without weight change. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Same weight on the scale, not the same size on the pants. Fatigue, and we're talking real fatigue, like crashing fatigue, panic attacks, and then our personal favorite one, facial hair growth. I had a patient who she said she got a hair on her chin and she called it her goat hair. Gastrointestinal problems. This is why it's really, really, really important for us to stay on top of what's going on in our GI tract. You have no idea how important that is. Bowel changes, urinary tract infections, irregular pounding heartbeat, finger and toenail changes. So they get thicker, they get thinner, they get peelier, they don't grow as fast, all those kind of things. Seasonal allergies, dizziness. We have a small section on dizziness tonight. Joint inflammation, tingling extremities, irregular menstrual cycle. So some of you that are going in, you do realize that you're not considered in menopause completely until you haven't had a period for 18 months. Now, I know a lot of the literature says 12 months, but guess what? Surprises come. And that might have been why your brother was born, right? Okay, then we have depression, vision changes. Vision, actually, a lot of estrogen and progesterone imbalances affect the eyes, and that starts happening in their 40s. So that's usually a good time for us to go and get glasses, right? Wiry hair, gum problems, headaches, night sweats. So night sweats are different than hot flashes, and just transient symptoms. You think, what is that? Well, guess what that is? We don't know. No, it's related to menopause. For the gallbladder to start acting up, like a little old man getting out of a chair. Joint pain, which is interesting. A lot of us say, oh, I'm starting to get arthritis. No, you have a hormone imbalance. Let's get that figured out. And maybe your joint pain is not a 9 out of 10. Maybe it's really a 3 or 4 out of 10. So let's get that in balance. And then our favorite one, increase in breast size. And we're not talking like we're 20 and we've got beautiful breasts. We're talking these things are big and fluffy. So those are the 60 symptoms. I wonder how many of you actually, oh, thanks for the PM, actually went, I have that, I have that, I have that, I have that, and that too. And we pin it onto everything else but what it is. So tonight is all about sleep hygiene. So we're going to talk about sleep. I guarantee you'll sleep better tonight if you do just a couple of these things. So the first thing I want to tell you is the bedroom should be used for only 2 things, and they both begin with S. Sleep and sex. And part of the reason we don't have good sleep is we are on our phones. We are on our tablets. We have a TV in there. And those electronics begin to interfere with our sleep. So it's the lights that interfere with the production of something that happens in the brain called melatonin. You've heard it talked about. You can buy it in capsules. And that comes from the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is straight back here. And what happens is the light from the light interference from the electronics interferes with the body's ability to synchronize your day and night schedule. That happens in something called the suprachiasmatic nuclei. Not expecting you to remember that. Just want you to know there's a special spot for it. It synchronizes the master clock of your body. So the master clock, who would have thought you have a master clock? Your body is pretty accurate on time. When you mess it up with blue lights or bright lights, it kind of gets you screwed up. It doesn't know, is this a nap? Is this sleep time? What are we doing here? What are we doing? Are we in a dark room? Are we just fumbling in the closet? What's going on? The other thing is people exposed to radiation from their phones 3 hours before bed have more trouble falling asleep and staying asleep, which is not a new thing to a lot of us. We've heard it, we've seen it, but I want you to really make sure that you understand this at this time. So if you're choosing to read from your phone at night or your tablet like I do, I want you to get some of these. These are, yeah, you can see the reflection. These are blue light. Glasses. So they take away the tiredness. They take away the blue light, which excites the back of the eye. And then it tells your brain, wake up. We've got a lot of things going on. You can also get little sheets for on top of your screen. Do whatever makes you happy. I choose the glasses because during the day I like the bright light on there. So normally your brain will begin to process the increasing melatonin around 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Isn't that funny? That's when we should usually be going to bed, which makes you sleepy. So that melatonin makes you sleepy, so you fall asleep. But the benefits of melatonin are amazing. So this is why you want your body to be able to produce it all on its own. It helps with your immune system, and there has been quite a few studies on PubMed about it helping with cancer, not making cancer worse, making cancer better, and prevention. So if you don't sleep at the right times, so let's say you're one of those people who's like, I can't fall asleep, I can't fall asleep. It's 11 o'clock, it's 12 o'clock, it's 1 o'clock. It puts your body in jeopardy. So what happens is your body clock is set to renew different organs at different times of the day. So what happens is between, say, 9 and 10 o'clock at night, 9 and 11 o'clock at night, something called the triple burner gets renewed. Now, this is a Chinese medicine term, but it talks about the triple burner. So we have the area between the throat and just under the bust line. We have bust line to navel. And then we have the third section of the triple burner, which includes the urogenital area. So that would mean, all your female parts and the urinary bladder. And you think, what's the big deal? When I go to sleep, it'll do it. No, it won't. What happens is your body skips doing that. Yikes, skips doing it. And we can't really have that because we need all those areas, especially our digestive area and this area that the heart is in. Those need to be renewed. Our body has to take us down. Just a side note, I bet a lot of you did not know when you sleep, your brain squishes down like a sponge and lets all the debris out, and the body washes new cerebral spinal fluid into there. And then just before you wake up, that sponge re-explodes, not in your head, but it reconstitutes itself, so to speak, and it absorbs fresh cerebral spinal fluid. If you're not sleeping, not all those things happen. Bummer, huh? The best thing to do is sleep in a cool room. Now, by a cool room, I mean we don't have the heat cranked up. I like 64 or 65 degrees. Now, that would mean maybe for some of you, because your house is a little bit warmer, it means that you could keep that window open just a tad, because you know what? If you're too hot, your body is busy fighting so many things. So tonight, try, opening that window just a smidge, just a smidge. Now, some people will say, but I use a fan. No, we're not going to use a fan to do this. You deserve fresh air, and it's so much better when you have fresh air. And the one thing I always find hilarious about sleep, you can't hurry up and do it. You can hurry up and shower. You can hurry up and put your makeup on. You can hurry up and get to the gas station, pick up the kids, change your clothes. You cannot hurry up and sleep. Now, this is the time in a woman's life where we start to see a lot of autoimmune diseases too that were well hidden. Autoimmune diseases love, or I should say hate, sleep because the body renews. So this is why we want you to sleep. When we decide we're going to stay up till midnight, we're finishing a project, we're working on something, the body gets a little angry, and it starts to allow us to be a part of things like pre-diabetic state. And then we start to gain weight, and we're thinking, well, what the heck just happened? Why am I gaining all this weight? Let me tell you why you're gaining weight. Because your body's signaling you you're awake, you should eat, and it needs extra energy because it was supposed to be in a low energy state. So there are going to be some things we talk about eating, but when you're staying up until 12, 11, 12, 1, you're just blowing the whole cycle. And what that does is it puts your adrenals in overdrive. Those adrenal glands are so important. If you could sit in my chair for a day and just see how many times a person's adrenal glands and GI tract are affected by hormones and just, and crummy eating decisions, you'd be saying to me, "Oh my gosh, Dr. Ray, I need to get this straightened out. Check my adrenals, check my GI." And I know that you don't want to put yourself in a bad position for the next 30 years, right? You want to be in a good position. So if you can get your sleep, that's going to help everything rest. Now, everybody needs a different amount of sleep. Try as I may, my entire life, 6.5 hours is it for me. My husband can go to bed at 8 o'clock and sleep until 7 o'clock the next morning. It doesn't make either one of us better or worse. It's just my body is wired that way. So, how do we assess your sleep? Your sleep is assessed by how you feel in the morning. If you wake up in the morning, you're like, yeah, I can do this today. Well, then you got enough sleep. If you're not dragging through the day, you got enough sleep. Yeah, we have down times. Women, we get tired between 1 and 3. Or no, 3 and 5. Sorry, 1 and 3 is the guys. Between 3 and 5, that's when we're thinking, I'm just going to order something for dinner. We are not doing this. But then our energy comes back. Now, if you're dragging around and it's 9 o'clock in the morning, you're not getting enough sleep. So we want you to start looking at sleep cues. So the first time you feel that, that's your signal. Get up, bed prep, and go to bed. That's a sleep cue. You'll find if you do sleep cues and follow them, more often than not, the first one might be at 9 o'clock, and then you do that for a few nights. Then the next night, there are 2 nights or 3 nights away, it might be 9:30ish, and then your body will finally settle in on the time that is best for it. So pay attention to that. When am I feeling tired? No, you don't need to get up and have coffee or do any of those things. You're just tired. Um, the best way for you to reset that pineal gland, and hopefully you can do this tomorrow, is get 10 to 15 minutes of sunshine. I don't care if you have to sit in front of a window. If you can go outside and walk, well, all the better, right? All the better. But go outside or sit by a window for 10 or 15 minutes sometime during the day and get that bright light on you, because the light comes in through the back of the eyes and then it resets that pineal gland. So we want to do that. Now, there's been some controversy around taking a nice bath. A nice tepid bath, so not too warm, not too cold, because we don't want to start the hot flash thing. It can really, really begin to relax your body. What I want you to do is I want you to begin to put lotion on right after you get out of the tub. Just let your body soak in some good organic lotion. That's going to calm your body down. It's good for you. It's good for your thyroid. It's good for your lymph system, your heart, and the adrenal glands, and as well as the genital area. We're putting this on our abdomen or our stomach, and we're rubbing our legs with it. All of those things feed up towards the body. Now, we had a little bit of a talk today in the office about this next one, and I can see where some people would think that it was a little bit different. But remember, my goal is to set you up for the next 30 years, help you take care of you. I am a natural taker carer of. Okay, is that a phrase? Anyway, I want to share it with you. I want you to be able to take good care of you. So, one of the best things you can do for your body when you are in menopause is sleep in the nude. Now, before you gasp and be like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with her? Let me say this. I want you to think a second. You're wearing pajamas. No problem with that, except for when your body heats up, because the brain, the area of the brain called the hypothalamus, is what regulates your hot and cold. When the body heats up, it goes to push this heat out and away. When it heats up and it pushes it away, it ends up bouncing back off of your pajamas and back onto you. So now you're double hot. When you're in bed and you are nude, that heat comes off of you and it gets dispersed all across the sheets and you sleep better. Now, Do you sometimes still hang that foot out and then bring that foot back in and then hang that foot? Yes, that still happens, but your body remains at a more constant cool temperature, and you're not as your brain isn't excited enough to go hot, then cold, then hot, then cold, and you're sweating. So fans in the room. I told you we were going to talk about fans, didn't I? In menopause, when you have a fan going in the room, you're thinking, oh, it feels wonderful. That breeze feels wonderful. Well, it's doing something you're not aware of. You lose a lot of liquid through your skin. So a lot of your moisture goes away. And as the skin dries out, the body tries to send more moisture to the skin. So guess what? You don't have any moisture then inside of you. Well, you have some, but not enough. Your eyes dry out, your ears dry out, your nasal passages dry out, and your mouth dries out whether or not you're sleeping with it open. So if you cannot use the fan but open the window just a tiny, tiny crack, you're going to have a better sleep relationship. Now, when we dry out, and we dry out so easily in menopause, it leads to something that freaks you out. It leads to dizziness a lot of times. That's how quick you can dry out. So one night sleeping with that fan blasting over you, because you're going to stay cool come heck or high water, can lead actually to dizziness. And then you think, oh my gosh, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Guess what? You're dehydrating yourself, and you're going to have to drink a whole lot of water when you get up in the morning. So use the window. It's free. You don't pay for electricity on that window. Now, another thing that happens, and this is where I forewarned you with food. When you wake up during the night, there's a few reasons you wake up in the middle of the night if you're not having some warmings. One of the first ones is hypoglycemia. So you're thinking, but I had a great dinner. I had a small snack, around 7. I should be good. The interplay with estrogen and progesterone. If one is too high or one is too low, or they're both, out of control, you're going to have some hypoglycemia. So what that means is, I don't care what you ate, your pancreas is working overtime to shoot insulin into your body to bring glucose down. Whether you ate a Snicker bar, hopefully not, or you had, a bowl of vegetables and some dip, it can happen. So we don't want to have your hormones out of balance. So this is why we're trying to take the stress off the adrenals and your gut. And when we have those hormones out of balance, hypoglycemia kicks in, and that can also lead to some dizziness. Now, some of the estrogen and progesterones are actually controlled by the adrenal glands, but they're also can be controlled by vitamins or nutrient deficiencies. So that's why we want to make sure you've got your nutrients up to the level they should be. You've got your, everything is where it should be. And then that can start to help your body balance things out. Because we know that hormones can balance or fluctuate hourly, sometimes within 10 minutes. You're fine, and then something happens and you go from 0 to 100, and then your body is just, it's mad. It doesn't have anything to get anything from. And stress, when you're under stress, you've got a deadline at work, you've got a home situation, you just yourself have been self-talking into who knows what, because we can get angry over, a pen that didn't work that our husband borrowed and he should have known, but anyway. That changes your blood sugar level too. Now, the reason that happens is progesterone might be helping regulate you. And when you're under stress, your adrenal glands take your progesterone and they turn it into cortisol to help manage the stress. But in the meantime, your blood sugar levels have changed, and they go up and they go down. And if they get out of control, you know it, it's the big D word, it's the diabetes. So we want you to get those under control. So this is what I want you to do. Yes, I'm telling you to do this. And there is no right or wrong on this. So I want you to know which camp I'm sitting in. I want you to have a snack like literally before you go to bed. But there's a caveat to this. This is not the permission to eat a whole sleeve of Girl Scout cookies, the tray of brownies, 4 donuts, and a half a bag of Doritos. That's not what this is. This is for you to have a good, clean protein snack before bed. And it's something innocent. A hard-boiled egg, some nuts, piece of cheese, maybe even some nut butters. And I say nut butters like almond butter, peanut butter, macadamia nut butter, any nut you can buy, you can put it in the blender, and when you blend it long enough, it turns into a nut butter. So have some nut butter. That protein helps hold your glucose in level so you don't get those wake ups at night. Um, how many of you do this? I know I was guilty of this for a long time. You wake up in the middle of the night, you're kind of hungry, and you're like, "Oh, I don't feel like going downstairs or out to the kitchen. I'm just going to try and fall back asleep so my body doesn't notice it." And then I'll tell you what happens. Oh, your body knows everything. And it makes you stay awake. And then you begin to sweat. That's a little bit of a hypoglycemic episode. Well, who feels like getting up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning? Well, for us women, it's usually about 3 o'clock in the morning, padding out to the refrigerator or the cabinet, getting something, eating it, and then going, you don't fall back asleep. It's a little bit difficult. So let's put that in a different arena. Let's preemptively work on that. Let's go at this before it even happens. I am not talking about eating, Thanksgiving dinner before bed. I'm talking about having a snack to help your blood sugar. Night sweats, typically night sweats have a stronger correlation with this blood sugar issue. So let's get that straightened out first and foremost so you don't have to deal with what is actually going on. Because you know what? It's like a wad of balled up rubber bands, right? You don't know which one's at the center. So let's just not put too much fuel on the fire, and let's do what we need to do by taking care of those. One of the lesser common, but we're probably going to start seeing this a little bit more, is your blood pressure. Blood pressure can wake you up at night. Your blood pressure decreases a lot during sleep, and it can dip, which is going to increase your risk for cardiovascular disease. And when it dips, your body freaks out and does, and it wakes you up, and then your heart starts pounding because it got some glucose from somewhere and all those other kind of things. So we don't want you to experience that again. Let's not have that dip related to glucose. So yes, you have permission to eat a little something right before bed, literally right before bed. I get this question a lot, and this happened to be a little bit of a topic of discussion. And when we did the almost 50 interviews, alcohol and caffeine, Dr. Ray, can I have it? Tell me I have to have my glass of wine. You don't understand. It feels so good. It's delicious. I get it. But I want you to be informed about it so you can make an informed decision. Because when we put you back in balance, like we do here, when if you were here, we put you back in balance. And sometimes we have to do a little bit of a vacation from those things because they're aggravating everything in this area. It's like your body is fighting with knives all the way around, and it can't do it. So I'm going to give you the information. You're an adult. You'll make your own decision. It's a double-edged sword. I myself enjoy a good cup of coffee or a glass of wine very occasionally, but let me caution you, coffee can really mess with your estrogen levels. I know. And it can mess with your calcium and magnesium levels. It pulls the calcium out of the system so we can't absorb magnesium, and vice versa. So remember I said osteoporosis. So does this mean take calcium with your coffee? No. Not advocating that, but okay. But it messes with that estrogen balance. So sometimes it can raise estrogen, which can be a good thing sometimes, or it can deplete progesterone. So we have an imbalance two ways. We can either have a estrogen dominance, which means we have the right amount of progesterone, but way too much estrogen, or we can have estrogen dominance because we have the normal amount of estrogen, but not near enough progesterone. And coffee can really mess with that. Now, I told you it inhibits the absorption of calcium, which bones and teeth, you want bones and teeth to be strong, but calcium also has a strong relationship with your heart. And when you have bounding heart, sometimes this has more to do with calcium than it does anything else. So what's the best drink for the morning? I recommend matcha. Now, I know Dunkin' Donuts is serving matcha. Don't do that. There's so much sugar in that one. You will feel your teeth rotting as you're drinking it. Starbucks is offering a matcha. Let me tell you, if you're going to drive through and get it, do it. That's fine. But ask Starbucks to only put half of the matcha in because they will put way too many scoops in. It'll be the color of an evergreen when you get it. It shouldn't be that color. And they'll use milk, which has sugar in it. We don't want to do that. So ask them to use unsweetened almond milk. And I think you'll be pleased. You can get it hot or cold. I get no money from Starbucks for this. I get nothing. But I want you to see that there are alternatives. Now, matcha is basically baby green tea leaves. Baby green tea leaves. And it has this thing in it because of its high antioxidant value called um, epigallocatechin gallate. I know, mouthful, right? EGCG, you've heard that. And that can reduce inflammation. So with the joints and with your digestive tract, you don't really notice when your digestive tract is inflamed, but it helps with that. And it helps with some chronic diseases. Now, you can get it at the store, get some organic if that's the rule for the matcha. Organic coffee. So people are telling me, but Dr. Ray, I drink organic coffee. I'm very proud of you. Thank you. But coffee, 100%, except for if you get a special kind, has mold in it. All coffee has mold in it. That can aggravate mold, yeast, and fungus in your digestive tract, and mold, yeast, and fungus mimic estrogen to the body. So your body may be thinking it has enough estrogen, but what it has more of is mold, yeast, fungus. So we don't want to do that. There are some brands, and you can research them on your own. If you need a brand name, private message me and I'll give it to you, that are completely mold-free and yeast-free. I recommend those. If you're going to drink coffee, drink the good stuff, you know, and you'll get just as much of an energy kick from that. But be careful because coffee will push the adrenal glands into overdrive. And then with overdrive comes progesterone converting into your adrenaline. Alcohol. So beer, wine, hard liquor, I don't care what it is. They all have kind of the same effect on the body. They affect the nervous system. They ramp the system up. So at first you're calm, you're like, oh, this is great. I'm feeling relaxed. And then you say, you know what, I'm going to go to bed. Great, go to bed. But what happens is after you go to bed, the nervous system kicks in, and that alcohol has ramped up the nervous system. So then you're thinking you need either another glass of wine, or you need to drink, instead of one, you need to drink two, and two turns to three, and wherever you go from there is on your own brain. So we don't want to do that. Besides, the sugar in them hits too. And when that sugar hits, we've got everything excited. I know there are articles that tell you sugar is not excitable. When your body's trying to close down and renew itself, it's excitable. We don't want that to happen, do we? The biggest piece of information I can give you about alcohol is the evidence is coming out now that it's the worst thing you can do for your brain is alcohol. So we have these astrocytes in our brain that have these dendrites. So they've got, like, where's my hand? Fingers on them. Well, those fingers are how they talk to others. Okay. Alcohol blunts those fingers, begins to blunt it. So the more we have it, the more we feel kind of foggy. Well, it takes those fingers about 3 months to renew if they've been blunted. We don't want that for you. So in menopause, we're already having troubles with chemicals signaling the brain. You don't need any, like, are you out there and nothing to your astrocytes. When you take alcohol out, it takes about 3 months for the astrocytes to be able to possibly renew. Now, the other side of that is, I don't care who you are or what you think, alcohol is going to begin to give you that increased size, but not a change in your weight. So if you can take that, and maybe if you're going to have alcohol, maybe have it before dinner if you really feel like you need it. Give the body a chance to process it. Hopefully that'll help. Now, my favorite one is I've saved for last. This is your feet. The feet have pressure points on them. And so what I recommend is every night before you go to bed, when you're sitting on the edge of the bed, naked as a jaybird, skin to the wind, I want you to put some really nice organic lotion in your hands, and I want you to rub the bottoms of your feet and the tops of your feet. And I want you to use your thumb and index finger. Whoops, where's the camera? Thumb and index finger, and rub the bottoms of those feet. It helps to oxygenate the body and it improves depression. So I want you to use those fingers, and I want you to use it on the big toe and move up and down that big toe and kind of in a circular motion on the top of the toe. And that's going to help that pineal gland, that day-night cycle thing go. And it helps to regulate melatonin. So you're going to sleep a little bit better. If you want to help your head and your brain, you're going to use the thumb, press and rub up and down along the whole big toe at least 3 times, up and down, up and down. And you're just going to feel when you're rubbing your feet, you're going to just feel your whole body just come down and really enjoy itself. And you're going to get into bed, you're going to lay there, and then you're going to fall asleep. Now, it's going to take a few weeks for it to make you sleep all the way through the night, but it's going to give you a better start, even if you do it tonight. One of the places that I think is important is the lungs at this point, because remember, we're talking about a little bit more oxygenation too when we sleep, so we don't snore, have sleep apnea, those kind of things. And it's still on the bottom of the foot, you can increase that. So press upwards along the middle top half of your sole. Middle top half of your sole. So where your arch is, that's the middle, and then go up. Keep pressing up. That's going to do all of the wonderful things and give you the greatest sleep you've ever had. And even if you're not in menopause, it's awesome. Trust me. It's awesome. Can't wait to hear from you tomorrow. You guys better PM me and let me know tomorrow how well you slept. You'll sleep like a baby. I guarantee it. You'll sleep like a baby. People ask all the time too, and I want to tell you, sheets and blankets, the closer you can get to real just cotton, the better off you're going to be. Pillows are a very personal item. Everybody likes, some people like a puffy pillow, some people like a flat pillow. I'm just going to ask you to see if your pillow is more than 3 or 4 months old. You should probably toss it. It's breaking down and it has all kinds of bacteria in it. But the last thing is, because some of those synthetic fibers can cause your head to sweat. So if you get just a tiny bit warm, your head is going to sweat. And that's going to wake you up and you're going to feel gross and, all that kind of wonderful stuff. So there you have it. That's our first night of this. This is not your mother's menopause. Are you smoking hot or are you burning up? I wanted you to be able to fill out the worksheets so you can begin to make some changes in your life. I want this to be the best thing you have ever heard on menopause. I wish we could do 60 nights in a row and I could hold you captive and give you every piece of information. We can't. But you know what we can do, and we are doing? We're posting information on the group. Stay in touch in the group. Invite your friends to the group. We really do want to see everybody, every woman who's beginning this change between 45 and on up, to have this information. I bet you learned more tonight than you actually knew about how to help yourself with your sleep. I really can't wait to see you tomorrow. I've got more information on smoking hot. Hot flashes and night sweats. So until we see you then, do the homework, grab some friends, tag them, tell them they've got to do this. But this is Dr. Ray with Olive Branch Wellness Center from This Is Not Your Mother's Menopause. We're going to conquer this together. Have a great evening, and we're going to see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Bye.